What is going on, everybody? Voidlego here, back with a brand new episode of Chaos Ed Noah. Last time on, we were once again fast forwarding through most of the story, changing things here and there with different delusions, but same thing kept popping up in these certain delusions. Whose eyes are those eyes? We get an extra scene with Sua and the nurse that basically confirms to us that Sua is indeed a part of Nozomi. More specifically, the Divine White Church. We actually get a bit of more information about that as soon as we get into the final chapter, where the earthquake happens and everything goes down, except one tiny thing. Kazupi is knocked out, and it slows down Senna just a little bit in order to get to the train station, in which she happens to see both her father and the mastermind behind everything, Genichi. And of course, she goes to chop off his head, but turns out to be Sua messing with her mind with with Noah. And turns out she chopped off her own father's head, while as soon as she realizes, Sua shoots her in the head. This is when Takumi comes into the picture, and they don't really fight, as Sua messes with Takumi's mind, sending him back to the past, and seeing the memories of how the New Gen murders really happened. Such as the old man that we kept seeing, with Genichi, being the actual founder of the Divine Church, or the Divine Cosmic Church of the Divine White, or whatever, ordering both Sua and the nurse to commit these atrocious murders in order to provoke Takumi to come out into the limelight, pretty much. And it actually turns out that the fetus that was found in the first victim was both the nurse's and actually Sua's son, as they're both in love. Madly in love, in fact. They're just straight up crazy and all of that. But we see the events of the suicide dive firsthand, as Takumi is placed in the perspective of one of the victims, as they are seeing a group of mindless people trying to get after them with a bunch of knives and stuff, but eventually they see a staircase in front of them, which isn't actually there, that leads them to a different rooftop, but as soon as they step on to that staircase, they all begin to fall holding hands. And so I guess we're going to see the rest of the murderers from the perspective of the victims, which is going to be it's going to be terrifying for Takumi. And as soon as this ends, we'll finally get on to one of the proper routes, aka Nanami's. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. My eyes were forced open, and a new scene burst forth in front of me. I was walking down Tanagawa Dori. My body was completely intact. Yet the sensation of crashing to the ground remained distinct. Through no will of my own, I was walking down the street as if it were any other day. This body was more in shape than my own. This wasn't me. I had a terrible feeling about this. Suddenly I noticed a strange man walking toward me, and when I saw him I was forced to acknowledge that my terrible feeling had been warranted. The man passed me. He was wearing a fairly normal suit, but on his head he had a Darth Spider helmet. It was all too surreal. There wasn't anyone else around. I wanted to run away as soon as possible. And yet, despite my wishes, the owner of the body my consciousness had invaded looked over their shoulder at the man he had just passed. Darth Spider was right behind me. He was so close I could almost feel his breath. And then, bursting out of my blind spot, his fist flew straight into my stomach. Man, Sua really loves Darth Spider, huh? All the strength left my body, and my vision went black. Not long after I lost consciousness, I began to feel an intense searing pain spreading throughout my abdomen. Oh boy. Oh god. When I opened my eyes, I was in an operating room. Wearing only white scrubs, Hazuki Shino was standing in front of me. Her scrubs were wide open, revealing her bloodied abdomen. Even though her face was a sickly pale, she looked at me with a gentle smile. In her hand was a scalpel. The scalpel she slowly weighed against my stomach. Oh my god, experiencing all of these grisly murders in like succession is torture. That's pure mind torture. She applied some pressure, and with a slight ripping sound, a small incision appeared on my skin. Blood spurted from the wound, dancing through the air before landing on Azuki Shino's face, and yet despite that, the same bright smile stayed plastered on her face. I watched in horror and pain as she slowly sliced me open. I had seen this scene once before, back when I had read Hazuki's memories. The man-child case. The pain in my stomach was becoming unbearable. Screaming and sobbing, I tried to escape somehow by thrashing around, but my limbs were all fastened to the bed. I was unable to move. Any movement would lead to the pain in my abdomen growing far more intense. Jesus. With her hand resting upon my queenly sliced open skin, Hazuki began poking around in the gushing wound with her fingers. Ugh. That alone pierced me with enough agony to shatter my mind. I could very clearly feel the sensation of her fingers wavering around inside me, and then just as I had seen in her memories, Hazuki forcefully widened the wound from both sides. Oh my god. The sensation of skin and flesh tearing. The lack of anesthesia left the pain raw and unfiltered, causing me, along with the owner of the body, to lose consciousness, only to be woken up immediately after by the overwhelming pain. Oh god. But Azuki kept forcefully widening the wound all the same. The details no longer mattered to me, such as where it hurt, or where specifically in my body the pain was erupting from. I hallucinated all my nerve endings being pierced with searing hot needles. I passed out again. God, these fucking noises. But I couldn't escape. The pain mercilessly forced my consciousness back awake. I let my body writhe in pain. I found myself thinking that if it would release me from this suffering, I would be willing to bite my tongue off, but just as I thought that, I saw something. There in Hazuki's hand was a blood-soaked fetus, something that served only to make her smile all the more revolting. Ugh. This woman was well and truly insane. She took the corpse of the fetus she had removed from her old body and then plunged it deep inside my abdomen. Ugh. Her hand and the fetus she was gripping tightly in it shoved aside my organs, gouged out my flesh, and gnawed deeper and deeper into me. I began to vomit blood, but even though it threatened to suffocate me, gargling screams rose from my drowning throat without end. Perhaps due to the pain overloading my brain, my head felt strangely foggy. And yet, despite that fogginess, the pain refused to get any more bearable, and I began to comprehend less and less of what was happening. Pain was all that ruled my mind. Hazuki then withdrew her hand from my stomach and nodded in satisfaction. Then, as if attending to a patient, she spoke a few soft words. But the very second she finished speaking, she suddenly lost consciousness, and her body collapsed to the floor. What? Well, yeah, that would make sense. At around the same time, someone else entered the operating room. The sound of his shoes reverberated throughout it. But I had no interest in whoever it was. The sole thing I focused on was continuing my bawling and screaming, unable to feel anything but agony. Seeing the unnatural expansion of my stomach, I fell into a panic. Along with the pain, I began to feel an itchiness. It was itchy. Really, really itchy. I wanted to scratch it. But my hands were tied to the bed, so I couldn't. Ugh. Suddenly, a shadow obstructed my view. It was Darth Spider, appearing from almost nowhere. He picked up Azuki in his arms, exited the operating room with her, then came back alone a few moments later. He was carrying the sewing needle and some neon thread. Ugh, what he was thinking I didn't know until he slowly began to stitch together the wound on my stomach. The pain was practically nothing compared to the pain of having a foreign object shoved inside me, nor of the agony of having my flesh ripped open. Darth Spider's sewing was incredibly sloppy. Ugh, even a grade schooler could have done better. Every time he pulled at the fishing line, it chafed against the chasms he opened in my skin. The itchiness grew more intense. God, an unbearable itchiness. An itchiness that seemed to well up from deep inside me. Itchy, itchy, itchy. I wanted to scratch it. If he'd just rut me, I wouldn't even mind if I died. The tingling itch combined with the pain. And yet even more than the pain, the itch threatened to drive me completely insane. God. Holy shit, I have to say, I'll give him credit. I'll give credit both to the writing and just the sound effects. No visuals. There's barely any visuals for these, like, fucked up things. Which is, I feel like, adds to it, like, 100%. It's much more worse imagining what's happening than actually seeing it. It actually does make my stomach churn a little bit. Like, oh, shit. Like, ooh. You know, like, ooh, fuck, man. But it really does do a fantastic job at just showcasing what type of thing Takumi is going through. Like, for example, the whole ending sequence from the first round, right? Like, all of those different ways Takumi was being quote-unquote killed, right? It felt just so agonizing, you know? Just so much pain, so much torture, you know? And all it is just writing and the sound effects. That's all it is. That's pretty much all it is. Barely any visuals. And I feel like that is a testament to how good this writing is. I feel like if it's able to make my stomach churn, oh boy. Because like I feel like I have a pretty strong stomach. I like horror movies. I love watching horror movies. Hell, I watched the Saw series as a kid, right? I grew up with it, right? But even this, it's still making my stomach churn, probably because just me imagining all of this in my head, like no visuals at all. If I'm able to see it, I'll be like, oh, gross, oh god, I can't believe they actually showed that. But at the same time, it's like, okay, that's what it looks like, you know. It's always what horror is, what horror can be, is the thing you can't see. You know, what's in the dark rather than the dark itself. Due to my mental state, it took me a while to notice that the scenery had changed once again. I felt a slight relief from the pain and the itchiness, but the sensation hadn't completely disappeared. Even now, as I stumbled through Shinsen, I felt an itch in the center of my body. But along with that itch, I felt the sensation of a foreign object in my abdomen, as well as the pain of a needle weaving in and out of my body. Ugh. They all remained as distinct, lingering discomforts, continuing to torment my mind even now. I was on an unlit, rarely used road. As I walked down it, I saw a figure coming toward me. The road was so narrow we would have had to turn sideways in order to even pass each other. But when I saw what the figure looked like, my body turned to ice. Yet again, it was the man dressed as Darth Spider. We passed each other. Darth Spider didn't give any kind of reaction. My heart was beating out of my chest, and then something surfaced into my mind, an incredibly compulsive urge, one that made no sense for me to feel. A crusty old fuck had been hitting on my girl. It pissed me off like you wouldn't believe. I wanted to kill him. That extremely abrupt feeling drove me forward. The face of my girl was foggy in my memories. I couldn't remember her very well, to the point where I wasn't sure if she even existed in the first place. And yet the crusty old fuck who'd been hitting on my girl was crystal clear in my mind. I'd seen this face before. He was the victim of the crucifixion case. Here we go. My memory launched forward, poising me in a dark, narrow alley. An alley I knew all too well. The scene of the crucifixion. And right in front of me was the victim of that case. He was a middle-aged man, and my hands were wrapped tightly around his neck. His body convulsed violently, bubbles frothed from his mouth, and his eyes rolled into the back of his head. Upon learning what it felt like to have someone's life disappear in my hands, I went slightly cold. Eventually, the man stopped moving. When Kameda, the perpetrator of this case, confirmed he was dead. Oh. I released my hands from his neck and let him collapse to the ground. Oh. I gave him a single parting kick in the side and immediately went to leave. Oh shit. I heard a voice, and when I turned around, the man who was supposed to be dead was getting up. Eyes still rolled into the back of his head, and then he reached for me. With a yelp, I punched him, knocking him to the ground. But even though his movements were sluggish, he kept getting back up no matter how many times I hit him. I grabbed his neck again. Just as I'd done earlier, but this time with even more force. I wrung my hands tightly around his neck. I put all the strength I had into my grip, applying enough pressure to snap the bones in his neck. He soon stopped moving again. This time I put my ear up to his mouth, and once I made absolutely sure he wasn't breathing, I let him drop. I watched his body for a while. And then somehow, the man who should have died twitched violently and began rising back to his feet. The expression on his face was one cruelly fitting of a dead man's and didn't change even slightly as he moved. Rising up from the ground, he started coming toward me. As I stumbled back in fear, I stepped on something. Startled, I looked down at my feet. A large number of cross-shaped stakes were scattered across the street. I had to stop him from moving anymore. I had to drive a stake into the monster that I was facing. If I didn't, I'd be screwed. I see. Overwhelmed by the impending danger, I shoved the man against the wall before he could finish getting up. I picked up a stake. And before I knew it, I was gripping a hammer in my other hand. Okay. I see. So Kameda really, well, he was the one behind it, but obviously he was under the influence of Noah too. So that's why Suwa specifically picked him as the quote-unquote new-gen culprit, right? Because he probably had, like, DNA evidence on the crosses. It was Kameda. But in reality, it looked more like, yeah, he was being controlled when he was killing the guy, or like maybe after. Maybe he just killed the old guy because, like, he, as we saw before, old fuck. Oh, wait, no. The reason why he killed that guy was because Suwa was probably implanting those thoughts into his head via Noah 2. And then, you know, because perception equals reality, pretended he got back up over and over again. Okay. All right. Well, that's a hell of a way to do it. Here we go again. Once again, I found myself in the operating room, but it wasn't the man-child case again. Despite knowing that, the pain from that experience, coupled with the sensation of a foreign object in my stomach, continued to torture me. It ground away at my each and every nerve ending. Oh, God, I couldn't even imagine. Ugh. Even I keep loving my fucking stomach as well. It's just, ugh. I could see two figures in my field of vision. They both were still as could be, staring my direction with bated breath. One of them was Darth Spider, and the other was Hazuki Shino. Their scrubs weren't soaked in blood this time, which what led me to believe this was a different case than the man-child one. I was laying in a bed. The needle for an IV was embedded in my arm. However, nothing was being injected into me. The liquid in the tube was flowing backward, and the liquid was blood. Here we go. My blood, the blood that circulated within this body, was being sucked out through the IV. At the end of the tube, there was only an extremely dirty bucket. It was filled to the brim with blood. The blood continued to fall into the bucket. Drip, drip, drip. My head felt fuzzy. I was incredibly dizzy. I was assaulted by an intensely peculiar sensation, one where a pleasant feeling, like my consciousness was floating far away, intermixed with the pain and itchiness left over from the man-child case. Then, as if showing off to me, Darth Spider and Azuki tenderly embraced each other like lovers. Crazy fucks. As the two supported one another, Azuki's face couldn't have looked happier. I couldn't understand how she could make a face like that, while in the middle of creating the dried-up corpse from the vampire case. But before I could think about why, I couldn't understand it. The pain grew far more intense. My throat was sapped of all moisture. My vision gradually darkened, and my consciousness slowly grew thinner and thinner, till eventually it evaporated completely. Okay. Could have been worse. Oh, God. I didn't realize this was a vicarious experience. I was being forced to experience a series of new-gen murders vicariously. I was facing the pain of each case, the fear, one by one. If that was true, then there were still 3 remaining. Realizing that, my despair pulled me down even deeper. Oh shit. Someone called out to me, and I came back to myself. I should have been in the operating room, but I was standing in the hallway of some hospital. Unsurprisingly, through no will of my own, my body turned around. Behind me was Hazuki Shino, accompanied by a somewhat somber expression. Did no? Her voice apologetic, Hazuki entered the examination room. My mind screamed, "Don't go," at Dr. Takashina, but unsurprisingly, my voice didn't reach him. It was currently after hours at the hospital, so no one else was in the exam room. Hazuki walked steadily toward the center of it. I, Dr. Takashina, followed her without even the slightest doubt. And then she abruptly stopped. Just as I wondered what she was doing, a man wearing something black on his head leapt out from the darkness. I reeled back, startled, only for the man to shove something akin to a piece of gauze over my mouth. And just like that, my consciousness was stolen away. Oh boy. An ear-piercing noise rang through my head. My skull was vibrating violently. Oh my god. But it wasn't just vibrating. It was being shaved to dust. I felt that sensation incredibly clearly. Oh my god. The sound died down, and when I opened my eyes, I was in the operating room once more. Like a collection of numerous eyes, many whites poured down on me from the ceiling. They shone down on me brilliantly, illuminating my face. Oh god. In a thoroughly enchanted tone, Hazuki said those words, picked up a pair of scissors, and used them to cut away the solid membrane covering my brain. I felt the sensation directly and immediately following it. I was seized by a sickening, almost frustrating feeling. I, or rather Dr. Takashina, hadn't known that Hazuki had the ability to perform surgery, let alone open brain surgery. As a result of this, my mind erupted with surprise, followed by me noticing that my body was incapable of moving due to the anesthesia. Hazuki wasn't alone in the operating room. The man wearing black from before, Darth Spider, was there too. But he said nothing. He simply stood in place, not moving a muscle. Without losing the gentle smile on her face, Suzuki whispered something strange in my ear.
脳がなくてもしばらくは生きていられるっていうことですよね。先生はどれくらい生きられるかしら。
I shuddered. Yeah, fuck. An unfathomable terror rose up from within me. Hazuki held a spoon in front of my eyes. Oh god, only for it to leave my vision soon after.
高階先生に信仰の救いあれ。
Without warning, I felt a foreign object being forced into me inside my head. And not inside my head in the sense that it wasn't really happening. Something had really been forced inside my head. I felt the sensation of something entering me, then moving around. There was no pain. However, it was more than enough to fill me with disgust and terror. Ugh. Hazuki shook off a piece of something onto a tray sitting beside me. Only moving my eyes, I looked over the tray and see what it was. It was a beautiful pink color, but it had been smashed into a pulp. It reminded me of a soft salmon roe. Realizing it was my brain, my sense of dread peaked. I pleaded with her. Please stop. But Azuki's hand didn't stop moving. Instead, her expression turned to one of pure ecstasy. Her cheeks were stained a bright scarlet as she carelessly dug through my, Dr. Takashina's brain, taking more of it with every scoop. Suddenly, I was having fun. I wanted to laugh. Suddenly, I harbored an intense hatred. Suddenly, I felt happy. Suddenly, a vicious lust burned within me, rising up and constricting my chest. She stirred my brain, stirring my emotions along with it. Jesus. Man. Damn. In contrast to Steins Gate, Steins Gate is fucking tame. Like, holy shit. I know there's still, like, disturbing stuff in Steins Gate, but not to this degree. This is a whole other fucking level of fucking just body horror, honestly. Like, it's like, it is some shit you would see when, like, in Saul or Hospice or whatever, you know, fucking, God, man. Emotions different to what I myself felt boiled up within me. Because of these emotions, my mind, heart, and soul were drifting away from the consciousness known as me, forcing me to confront the ambiguity of my own existence. As a mental rape that sought to deny my own existence tore my mind to shreds, I found myself walking under a railway overpass. If I went off the case order, this time it would be the finger food case. As I expected would happen, my body was now a woman's. I was incredibly hungry. Perhaps the victim had been on a diet or something. I crossed paths with the man in the Darth Spider costume once again. Everywhere I went, he would show up. Considering how much his appearance stood out, why hadn't the police or mass media gotten anything on him at all? Fucking Sua, man. Fucking dressing off as Darth Spider. It was the first time Darth Spider had said anything. He pointed at my right hand as he spoke. It was a surreal spectacle. For some reason, I was holding 5 bare chicken skewers. Oh, god damn it. Each one sticking out from the gaps between my fingers. Warm-looking steam rose from them, as did the juicy aroma of cooked meat. Both things further stimulated my appetite. Saliva overflowed from my mouth. Unable to wait another second, I took a bite. A sharp pain shot through my finger, but I couldn't stop chewing. I had never had such incredible, delicious chicken in my entire life. Tons of juices escaped from the meat, dribbling down onto the pavement below. It was delectable. It was to die for. In the blink of an eye, I had cleaned the skewers completely. Before I knew it, Darth Spider disappeared. But it didn't matter much to me. I didn't even care about that strange man at all. I wanted to keep eating. My stomach cried out for more food. The fingers of my right hand throbbed with pain, but my hunger easily overrode it. Once again, I looked at my right hand, and that's when I realized I hadn't just been holding chicken skewers. I had also been carrying a large slab of meat. The glorious protein was still fastened to the bone, with its dripping juices staining the sleeves of my blouse a dark shade of red. When I had gotten my hands on this, how long had I had it for? That question too quickly became unimportant when faced with my overwhelming hunger. I sank my teeth into the meat with all the strength I could muster. Excruciating pain. I ripped a chunk off, chewed it, tasted it, then gulped it down. The meat was tender and carried a fair amount of fat. I bit deeper. Both my hands and the area around my mouth were greasy with fat, but I didn't care. I never experienced such incredible flavor before. I tore the meat off the bone. Fat melted and gushed from my mouth, leaving a unique aftertaste. It hurt. For some reason, it hurt so bad I thought I would die, but I kept chewing. Compared to how large the bone was, there wasn't a lot of meat on it. It didn't take long for me to eat it all up. Finally, I licked off all the remaining tiny scraps of flesh that were left clinging to the bone. Every piece I set free, I suckled on, savoring the taste of meat and bone. The 5 slender bones protruding from the ends weren't too hard. If I wanted to, I could bite them off without much trouble. I gnawed on the bones. A fierce pain whipped through me, a pain so intense I nearly collapsed on the spot. Oh my god. Tears streaming down my face, it gleefully swooped up all of the remaining juices that were oozing out from inside the bone. I tore free one of the bones. The intense stimulus led me to crumple to the ground, wallowing the bowl around my mouth as I did. Chomp, crunch, crunch, munch. When I went to swallow it, the bone got stuck in my throat and I could no longer breathe. My legs swung around uncontrollably, kicking every which way. But before I knew it, a string had been wrapped around my ankles, stopping them in place. I could no longer move freely. Darth Spider was standing in front of me. Writhing in agony, the exposed bones of my right hand struck the ground. Fucking Christ. The impact sent violent, whipping waves of pain throughout my entire body. I immediately pissed myself. Oh, God. And I would never open my eyes again. Holy shit. Oh, my God. Oh, my fucking God. Whoa. Whoa. Holy shit. Alright. And I'm back. I actually had to take a little break there. Because those scenes were really getting to me. Especially that last one of the girl eating her fingers. That one really, really got to me. A lot more than I expected. I think it was just all of those things back to back. It just like, really made my just stomach just like, I think I almost vomited, honestly, because like, it probably doesn't help because I have a very vivid imagination. Like, I can perfectly imagine the scene in my head. Like, I can do the whole, like, you know, can you imagine a 3D apple in your head and stuff like that? So it doesn't help that I can imagine it while also hearing these goddamn sound effects and whatnot. So I actually did have to, like step away for a minute because, oh my god, when this game really wants to just get at you, it can just get at you. And it's just, I just wish there was something. I also wish there was like a CG or something so I could look at something so I can like see it with my own eyes and be like, ugh, gross. You know, because at least then it's not like I'm imagining it because that whole thing in the last sentence of her, like, her exposed bones hitting the pavement is like, God, I don't even want to think about it. I don't want to think about it. But let's get back into it. I'm all right now. So let us go. So yes, this game really got to me that much. I'll give credit to Chaos Head. You got to me that much, buddy. You got to me that much where I had to actually step away. Alright. I opened my eyes in a dim back alley. The scenery was a little different from before. I was walking down the alley while leaning on a male DQN's shoulder. His face was horribly beaten and he looked like he was about to cry. The three of them, including me, were in awful condition. The clothes were soaked with blood, their faces were ridiculously swollen, and they all had a number of chipped teeth. The delinquents that beat up Takumi, and then Kazuki beat them up. The person who'd done this was probably me. It was the three DQNs that beat me up, and after that happened, they had their torsos torn apart and died. Once again, the man in the Darth Spider costume was there, standing at the end of where we were walking. Okay, thank God this is the last case. I don't think I can handle any more goddamn descriptions. I really can't. I can't. The guy who was winding me his shoulders shouted at Darth Spider, but with his face as it was, any impact it could have had was pretty much halved. Just scare him. One of them grabbed Darth Spider, holding him by the collar. He lifted him up and hit his black helmet with his hand. He forced the helmet off. I had already predicted the face that would be under it, and of course, yeah. There he was, Suwa Mamoru, looking completely unfazed. This fucked up man. He was Suzuki Shino's accomplice, so he was another culprit behind New Gen. Suwa rammed his knee deep into the stomach of the man grabbing him. His agile movements set him far apart from the reckless violence of the DQNs. Ah, shit. The ground shook slightly. Behind Suwa, there was a presence, hiding in the darkness deep within the narrow alley. Something was there, rumbling with an eerie growl, and from what I could tell, it wasn't a normal size. Even though we couldn't see it, the fierce bloodlust given off by that monster made all of our hearts seized up. Holy shit. Fucking big old monster. Look at that CGI. Eventually, with footsteps that sounded like the very ground itself was rumbling, it showed itself. A literal, real-life monster. It was so unbelievably grotesque, nothing else like it existed on this earth. Its brown, slimy skin glistened, and its gigantic head sat wedged between its shoulders. Its scarlet eyes shone brightly. Its mouth tore open on both sides, and its wrists were as thick as giant logs. See what I'm saying? Like no discredit or anything to this image. You know, it's a fine monster design. But I'm just saying, I need something, I want something to be there. I want a CG to be there so I can put my mind at ease. I can visualize, I can see it for what it is. It's a giant monster. That's what it is, you know? And I'm not saying, like, I'm not deducting points away from the VN. Hell, I'll add points for the VN for not showing any of it and just describing it with sound effects. It's just... you know, fucking, for the sake of my sanity and stomach, you know, like, God. Yeah, I do find that so weird, though, because I watched the Saw movies as a kid, yet with this, it almost made me kind of, like, you know, a little bit. It's probably because, like, in Saw you can see things, and, you know, I know it's fake, you know, it's just a movie set, you know, it's a bunch of props and whatever, so I can, like, have that separation of reality. Well, with this, if there's no images, just it's all in my head. But enough about that topic. I've talked at fucking length about it, so let's go. The bipedal monster came up beside Sua and opened its gaping maw wide as could be. Its rows of sharp fangs glinted, reflecting the burning glare of the streetlights. Its roar was like a low, dull growl, and yet it was more terrifying than anything I had ever heard. No beast could have ever hoped to compare. Kind of sounded like a... It kind of sounded like a computer noise, a little bit. A war with such ferocity, even the very souls of all who heard it would tremble.
なんだこれ。スパークオーズが好きなんすよ。
Sula was the only one who didn't seem bothered by the monster's appearance. On the contrary, he touched the monster's leg and blamed satisfaction, caressing it.
それに出てくるエイリアンス。
Fucking. So what this game is telling me is that Star Wars fans are the fucking devil and psychopaths, huh? See what I mean? It's kind of like a computer. It sounds like someone's screaming into like an old computer mic. Another war. The monster stepped one step closer to the frozen still trio. We tried to run, but there was no escape. We screamed for help. There was no one around for kilometers. An overwhelming difference in power. The difference in potential between our species was too great. The three of us were helpless when faced with the beast before us. For the first time in our lives, we experienced fear from the deepest depths of our hearts. When someone is frightened like that, they fall silent, shrink back, and can't move even a single muscle. And so the monster let out a single breath and swung its log-like arms. Damn. In an instant, as if they were mere ragdolls, the two of them were torn to shreds. Blood and viscera splattered across this alley, steam rising from the remains. The severed corpses of the two men were then viciously tossed aside, skewing them on the handles of a nearby telephone pole.
あとは君だけっすよ。
Oh god. Sua's gaze pierced through me. I realized then that he was the one controlling the alien. I told myself this was a delusion, but there was no point. In the face of absolute terror and overwhelming brutality, I simply slumped to the ground and pissed myself. All I could do after that was look up in a daze at the monster, and then... My torso was ripped apart. I felt this in a way no other human could ever possibly experience. And then I stopped breathing. These fucking sound effects, man. God, where the hell did they get them? Ugh. Oh, thank God that one was really tame compared to the others. Jesus Christ, that was, oh God, thank God, that was a reprieve from all the others. I think the finger food one was the worst, actually. The more and more I think about it, I don't even want to actually think about it, like, ugh, ooh. How many times had I died vicariously? 3 times, 1 time, 7 times, 4 times, 2 times, 5 times? Human flesh tasted amazing. It hurt. No more. Dark Spider's outfit was surreal. It had to be a joke. So wait, how many times had I died? Wait, who died? Not me. I wasn't dead. That monster was seriously straight out of a horror movie. But that monster was from, Sua said it was from Spark Wars, so what? Human flesh tasted amazing. The bones, too. Oh, God. Why was Dark Spider black? Hazuki Shino was sexy, but she was scary. She was crazy, but that was what made her sexy. If Dark Spider was made of bones, what was human flesh? How many times had I died in this prank? Or was it a prank? No, I wasn't dead. I was dead. Death, dead, did. It was surreal. No more. The were bones. Don't want to die, Black. I died. So kill me. Ugh. Torture. Just endless torture. Inside the rucksack, Sua roared on his back. The port let out a strange mechanical sound. Sua had long since grown accustomed to hearing it. And because of that sound, he had been able to murder the heart and mind of the Giggle maniac Nishijou Takayumi. He lifted up a heartfelt prayer and gratitude. No matter what, Suwa would have never let Nishijou Takayumi get away with what he had done, for the boy had driven Hazuki to suicide. Hazuki was Suwa's childhood friend, whom he had lived with ever since he was born. Oh, how delightful. Suwa recalled what she had told him several years ago, back when he had decided to aspire to become a detective and she to be a nurse.
私、守の子供を産みたい。
Damn! Both of their parents are disciples of the Cosmic Church of the Divine Light, and God and the glorious founder had been in their lives since birth. Oh, God, that's fucked up. That's fucked up. Kids raised in a cult. That's... Fuck, man. Fucking cults, man. Suwa and Azuki had both been raised as children of the Divine Light, and their befell was the will of the glorious founder as well. And so the two of them dutifully obeyed the teachings of the Divine Light, going so far as to offer the life of their child within Hazuki's womb. Even when Hazuki had given her life as martyr, she had still believed she was doing the right thing. The 7 incidents, colloquially known as the New Generation Madness, Suwa and Hazuki had caused them together. Partway through the incidents, Suwa had grown quite flustered when his senior, Ban Yasuji, pointed out all the inconsistencies in the group dive video. Oh. The video Suwa had uploaded to YouTube had been recorded by projecting his memories. However, as it had been a few days since the incident at the time of the recording, his memories had grown far less clear. Okay. That explains it. Okay. So, this is... Okay. It's very interesting. It is a point... Like, we keep going for the New Generation murders, right? And who's always there? It's Suwa, right? That's how he's able to project these memories into Takayumi, right? It isn't a situation of Genichi, whose power, well, his and Noah 2's power, is to affect the current reality therein, aka Takayumi's quote-unquote current perception of reality, right? Aka imagining a spike going through him, right? Well, with this, it's simply Suwa taking his memories, putting them into the machine, and projecting it to Nishijou Takayumi. That's why, I guess in a way, this is a the New Gen murders serve two purposes. One, it's to cause terror towards specifically Nishijou Takayumi in order to provoke him, and two, it could be used later as a weapon against him, since Suwa has those memories of being there, therefore he can project the victim's final moments, right, to Takayumi. It also does help that Takayumi has that that power to see from other people's perspectives, as we've seen before, right? So it intensifies the pain and suffering in him. It's like going through 1,000 deaths over and over again within a half a second. You know, it's fucked up. As I said before, this game is so much more extreme than Steins Gate. Like, I am shocked at they really fucking went tame with Steins Gate. Like, this was their first outing, right? This is the first science adventure game, right? Yeah, it is. They went fucking pedal to the goddamn metal with this. Like, whoever the writer was, holy shit. Like, oh my god. Shit, I can see why Steins Gate is a lot more popular, and, well, maybe time travel is just a more popular genre. And, well, that, and it actually had a good anime adaptation as well that probably helped a lot. But besides the point, it's a lot more mainstream friendly Alright, to be perfectly honest, well, this is quite the opposite. It's still good. It is, by all means, great. This is great. The story is great, but oh boy. Oh boy. He did not remember the exact details of the scene, but since the video would not have been realistic without them, he had explicitly gone to Cornelius Tower to review the photos hanging in the lobby. As a result, the video had indeed been made more realistic, but he had failed to choose the correct picture. He had no reason to suspect that something would look so strikingly different between the tower's completion and the present. However, thanks to the political influence of the glorious founder, all of that had been suppressed. It would be unwise to underestimate the power of the cosmic church of the divine light's glorious founder. He had many connections within the government, and he had even managed to weave several of his followers into management positions at the Metropolitan Police. No matter how much those, like Ban, cried out for justice, the natural conclusion to come to was that they would never be able to do a thing to harm him. Ah, you son of a bitch, Suwa. Suwa's position as a detective, Hazuki's position as a nurse. The support coming from the pressure the glorious founder placed on the police and the media, the NOAA system terminals provided by Nozomi Technology. Utilizing all of these tools, Suwa and Hazuki had focused solely on killing. As for the reason they had gone to such lengths to continue killing people, it had all been for the sake of breaking Nishijou Takayumi. Yeah, okay, so I was right. After they forced him to awaken as a Google maniac, they would kidnap him and then harvest his code sample. Alternatively, by breaking the delusionary Nishijou Takayumi, they would lure out the real Nishijou Takayumi, catch him, and harvest his code sample. As long as it was Nishijou Takayumi, it made no difference if he was real or a copy. That was why Suwa had acted as Nishijou Takayumi, using a real chair in his impersonation attempt. Okay. It had all been foretold by a divine prophecy bestowed upon Suwa and Hazuki, one they had to fulfill no matter what sacrifices they would have to make during its course. And now, after sacrificing Hazuki, they had at last been able to overcome the trials given to them by God. The face of the woman who had loved him, and the one whom he had loved in return, rose in Suwa's mind. He gritted his teeth in intense sadness, bearing the utmost grief. Yeah, you crazy fuck. As he bathed in sorrow, Suwa approached Nishijou Takayumi, whose mind he had just slaughtered. Who the hell? At the edge of the platform, Aoi Senna cradled the head of her father, whom she had herself decapitated. She had fallen to her knees long ago, and now she sat alone atop the train tracks. Her chest dyed a deep crimson from her father's blood. She laughed. Jewels sovereignly seeped out from her mouth. Her eyes were unfocused. Suwa, now having composed himself, glanced at the girl. She's already long gone, he muttered to himself inside his head. In any case, her usefulness had expired, and he felt no need to kill her. From the Gigolo maniacs who had been gathered in Tokyo for Project Noah, there were still 2 whose code samples had yet to be harvested. This number excluded Kusinoki Yua, for she was an irregularity that had never been suspected of being the Gigolo maniac. The remaining targets were Nishijou Takayumi and Ohara Kazui. It had to be the infallible guidance of the divine light that the 2 of them had fallen right into Suwa's hands, in the same location even. He had now received total proof that his actions had always been proper and just. For this, he held endless gratitude towards heaven and the glorious founder. Upon reaching Takayumi, he dropped to his knees, grabbed the one boy's upper arms, and attempted to forcibly pull him to his feet. But Takayumi had already gone hollow. He was no longer capable of standing. His heart and mind had perished completely. Serves him right. With a snort, Suwa began to walk away, dragging Takayumi by the arms along with him. Ugh. Fucking son of a bitch. Kazupi was shouting something. It sounded painful, like she was hurting, maybe having fun. I blinked my eyes. Where's Kazupi? She was hanging from some weird crossart. Remy was at her feet. She was lying on the ground, tied up round and round. Kazupi was weird. Her clothes were torn a lot. They were in pieces, and there was a creepy crawling. Creepy crawling? What was? Her shell, her skin, her cheeks and her neck and her arms and around her belly button and upper thighs and creepy crawly squishy wishy. Lots of thingies were lingering around under Kazupi's skin. Oh, not 10 thingies, 20 thingies, maybe 30 thingies? I think they're parasites, yucky little caterpillars. Yeah, can you guys tell this is a bad ending? Fuck, man. Kazupi shakes her head around. Her eyes went everywhere. Lots of dribble. Her face looked super stupid, looked funny, and she was also wearing a thingy on her head. It had lots of cords coming out of it, like a toy, like a super duper Power Rangers toy set or something.
楽しいことでもあったのですか西条拓海
Damn, yeah, I feel like this game does a really great job at simulating like near death, like I don't know, like trying to understand the world around you, like kind of like when you're half awake, I guess is the best word to put it, if you probably experienced it, of like you're half awake but you're not totally there, so you're mixing words up and you think you heard something but it's actually something else, you know. It's really great that all of it is like under lowercase in the narration. Really drives the point home. An old guy I'd never seen before. Who?
なるほど無意識に折原梢と妄想をシンクロさせているのですか随分と物好きですねそんなに焦らずとも彼女の次は君にたっぷりとあの拷問を受けさせてあげますよ
Oh boy. Who's next? Me? I didn't want that. Who's next? Me? No, I didn't want that. Who's next? Me? No, I didn't want that. I didn't want any suffering. I didn't want any pain.
タクあなたなら止められる
Oh shit, Remy.
今なら止められるあなたなら
My wrist should have been tied behind my back, but suddenly, as if it had a will of its own, the cord loosened and fell to the floor. Tied up and lying on the ground, Remy turned just her gaze to me. Her eyes pleaded with me. A gigantic device sat in the center of the dome-shaped room, giving off an eerie hum. That is Noah 2. Destroy it. Remy's eyes asked this of me. A tall, intellectual-looking man, Norose, had his back turned to me, and he was watching Kazupi's torture with an earnest look on his face. He hadn't noticed me moving. There was no one else around, not even Sua. I could do it now. I was the only one who could. But I was scared. What if Norose caught me? What if I failed? When I fought these things, my body began to tremble. There was something seriously wrong with this game, forcing the fate of the world onto someone like me. But I had to do it. The realization and resolve came to me with surprising ease. Maybe I'd grown stronger. Yeah, that was it. I was strong. I was super strong now. I stood up, slowly. Norose still hadn't noticed. For our final box, he was a total dumbass. Was it that fun watching Kazupi suffer? While disgust flowed through me, I gritted my teeth. Come forth, this sword. Ripples appeared in the open air, and a blue light burst forth. I grasped it. I felt it. Neither cold nor hot, neither hard nor soft. I drew it from the Draic Sea, and a long, grand sword settled into my hand.
NANI?
You're already dead. He finally noticed me, but it was too late. I real-booted my disc sword. I sent particles flying to everyone's dead spots. I'd done it completely unconsciously. The method that I'd used, or how it worked, didn't matter to me. I just had a delusion and it came to be. I gripped the hilt of my disc sword with both hands. Its glow transformed from blue to red. Norris stared at me in disbelief. He was shrinking back. I'd won. I grinned from ear to ear, raised my sword, and formed a delusion. This was a sword of light. It possessed incredible power to cut through the very air itself. If I called forth all of its power and swung the blade, it could reduce anything on this earth to rubble. I couldn't come up with a name for my special attack right on the spot, so I just gave up on shouting something out. Besides, this wasn't some shonen manga. This is the fuck you! I took the power I stored in my disc sword through my delusion and unleashed it all toward Noah 2. Oh shit. Did it work? Shit. Huh. 2 months later? What? Fuck you mean 2 months later? The winter sky was barely blue, but in exchange, unlike the summer sky, it was crisp, cool, and carried an almost translucent aura. It was morning. A few minutes ago, my eyes had opened to the sound of my alarm clock, and now as I brushed my teeth, my gaze shifted up toward the sky. Is this all just Noah 2's delusion? It can't be that easy. It wasn't that fucking easy the first time around. Even with everything on, like, Takumi's side, it still wasn't easy. So, it had been 2 months since that insanity. Shibuya was still in the midst of its reconstruction efforts. Ever since the new year had first kicked off, little by little, Shibuya had slowly been returning to its noisy, gaudy-ass self. A voice called my name. When I turned around, I saw Remy making her way up the stairs. I hadn't seen her in her school uniform since that day. Remy gave me a big smile and took a salute-like pose. What does Bishi even mean? What is with visual novel girls and just saying weird shit? Remy was holding a bag from the convenience store. Inside were some eggs, milk, and white bread. Sitting in front of the sink, she cheerfully started making preparations. For the past 2 months, Remy had made it a point to come to my base pretty much every morning to cook me breakfast. Apparently, she hadn't done much cooking before she met me, so this doubled as practice for her. I wanted to tell her not to use me as her guinea pig, but just being able to eat at girls' home cooking at all made me incredibly happy, so I just bit my tongue and put up with it. Ever since the earthquake, Sumoi Academy had been closed down, but was finally reopening today. I plan to use this opportunity to leave behind my semi-shut-in lifestyle, starting by seriously attending school. As she said that, Remy cracked open an egg. As one would expect, it wasn't exactly feasible to eat outside right in the middle of winter. You freeze your ass off. To avoid that, Remy carried inside the 2 servings of toast and scrambled eggs she'd made for us, and set them down on a small table beside each other. And once our hands were free, the 2 of us sat down next to each other on the sofa.
いただきます。
いただきます。
After putting my hands together, I reached for the butter sitting at the edge of the table. However, Remy had done the same thing at almost the same time, and our fingertips brushed up against each other atop the container of butter. Ooh. Honestly, why am I making fun of this? This is fucking fantastic change of pace from just horrible descriptions of body. Just, I would rather take this a billion times. What a rom-com ass plot point. Smiling widely at that in my head, my eyes soon met those of Rumi's, who was sitting extremely close to me, and my heart began to pound. Ooh, doki doki. Rumi didn't take her eyes off of me, nor did she pull back her hand. Both of us had gone rigid, staring at each other as our fingers touched. Rumi entwined her fingers with my own. Her eyes softly closed, and then she ever so slightly lifted her face. Naturally, I held Rumi's hand in return. I slowly neared her lips.
朝から何イチャついてんの？
Flustered, I jumped away from Rumi. Get the fuck out of here! When I looked away... Try to get right! Wade! Get the fuck out of here, Nanami! When I looked at my door, I saw Nanami standing there. I had no idea when she'd shown up. All I knew was that her arms were crossed and she had a pretty exasperated look on her face.
ナナミ、心臓に悪いことするなよ。
お兄とリミさんってほんと仲いいね。焼けちゃうな。ねえねえ、実際のところどこまで行ったの？どこまでって？またまたとぼけてないで教えてよ、リミさん。
Seemed like Nanami had selected Rumi as her next target. Barging into my room, she pulled aside my computer chair and sat down in front of Rumi.
キスは当然したとして、その先は？ちょっとからかわないでよ。いいじゃん、教えて。教えない。じゃあ鬼、教えてよ。どこまで行ったか。
I'm not telling you. Besides, we haven't even kissed yet. God, why do you have to remind me? God, I'm such an idiot. I've had so many chances before now. I hate myself. This rate, it felt like I'd never lose my V card. Starting to get depressed at how much of a loser I was. I gulped down some milk.
リミさんがのんびりしてるなら、ナナが鬼を奪っちゃうかな。
Excuse me? Practically a gallon of milk spurted from my mouth.
鬼、来たな。
お前。
冗談だよ。本気にされても困っちゃうってば。
Uh-huh. Ew, can we please stop trying to give me a heart attack? Okay, where's the twist? This ain't the good fucking ending. I'm telling you, fucking maybe every ending's the bad ending. I still have a feeling that every ending just ends up with the same thing of Remy and fucking Taku in the middle of Shibuya, and Taku getting stabbed. Side by side, the three of us walked to school together. Remy was humming that Phantasm song again. Passing through the center of Shoto Park, we took my usual shortcut. You could still see a few traces of the earthquake around the park. For example, parts of the stone wall circling the pond was still broken. Even then, though, it was still way better off than the rest of Shibuya, especially when compared to the sad state of the center of it.
おはようございます。
Yola was sitting on the bench, turning towards us. She put on a gentle smile and bowed her head.
西條くん、昨日はとても楽しかったです。昨日？
ユアと一緒に秋葉原まで買い物に行ったんだ。
あ、わかった。お人形さんでしょ。
フィギュアと言えよ。
Fucking action figure, shut up. Well, it was true that we'd gone to buy figures.
新しいセイラちゃん。早速部屋に飾りました。私も行きたかったな。
え、リミってフィギュアに興味あるの？
When I asked that, Remy gave a slightly sheepish smile.
っていうか、タクの好きなもの、私も好きになりたいし。
That would make me fold instantly.
わあ、大胆発言。だったら今度 一緒に買いに行きましょう。え、本当？ありがとうございます。
You and Remy had really hit it off. Yua and Nanami's classes were both in different buildings, so we said our goodbyes at the school entrance. As I changed into my indoor shoes, someone came up from behind me and blew into my ear. I shuddered, goosebumps springing up all over me, jumped away and spun around. There stood Elise, wearing a narrow smile. What the hell is this music?
おはよう、たくみ。
あ、おはよ
Yeah, this is way too fucking good to be true.
おはよう、あやちゃん。あやちゃん。
Elise tilted her head when she heard Remy call her that.
初めてよ。その呼び方をされたのは。悪くないわ。でしょ？ファンタズムのライブがあるの。あさって。
She abruptly changed the subject, and surprisingly, Elise was as hard to get a read on as ever.
よかったら来て。
う。僕に言ってるの？
匠に言ってるのよ。それとリミ。あ、本当？絶対行くね。
Phantasm had broken up a while back, but I heard that they had a sudden revival after the New Year started up. I didn't know where the change of heart had come from, but what I did know was that I wanted to hear more of Elise's singing.
でも匠は渡さないわ。
I didn't really know what was up with the butt, but Elise reached out and softly caressed my cheek, as if she was showing Remy her place.
じゃあね、匠。
Yeah, this is way too fucking good to be true. With a bewitching smile, she climbed the stairs in front of us. In a daze, I watched her go without the faintest clue of what had just happened.
たく、鼻の下伸びてる。
I quickly shot a hand up to my mouth.
冗談。
When we reached the outside of our classroom,
たくみさ
Kazupi came racing down the hallway, her smile stretching from ear to ear. And she fell, but before she could make it to us, she suddenly crashed into a boy coming out of the classroom and landed flat on her butt. Her eyes swimming with tears, she apologized to the boy, and then finally managed to get over to us.
ん。おはようさんなの。怪我はない？廊下を走っちゃダメだよ、コズピー。おにゃ
And Kazubi started fidgeting. She then looked at me from below.
たくみさんに早く教えたかったのら。
教えるって何を？
ほんとね。
Kazubi pointed in the direction she had just come running from. When I looked closer, I saw Senna standing there, leaning against the wall. Her arms were crossed, and she had a fairly sullen expression plastered on her face.
セナさん、退院したんだ。
Senna had been hospitalized over the past 2 months. Zula's psychological attack had put her out of commission for a long time, and now she's A-okay. Yeah. Senna raised her head and slowly began making her way towards us. She was just as scary as ever. She always carried a certain aura, one that gave up the impression that she would suddenly swap you even if you hadn't done anything wrong. I had gone to visit Senna at the hospital twice a week, but no matter how many times I tried to make conversations, he never said so much as a single word. The awkwardness had been torture. Could it be that she just hated me that much? I don't really know how to handle her. A fierce tension hung in the air between us. Then again, it would have been more accurate to say that only I was freaked out. She was fine.
というわけで、今日は学校が終わったら退院のお祝いをしよう。
Kazupi was the only one showing any sort of enthusiasm. Well, I mean, a party with this kind of atmosphere would be pretty shitty.
おい、西条。
That was when Senna finally opened her mouth. I shrank back, refusing to meet her eyes.
これを。
Senna held something out to me. It was a small stick with the word win written on it.
あ、
Bewildered, I accepted it. Said I quickly looked the other way.
お前に言いたいことがある。
なんでしょう。
Was it just my imagination, or had Senna's cheeks turned pink?
お前のことが好きだ。
Damn.
オピ
Oopie, indeed. Her sudden confession left not just me, but Remy and Kazupi all speechless. For a moment, I thought she was just teasing me, but Senna wasn't the type of character to make those kinds of jokes. Which meant, are you serious?
何度もお見舞いに来てくれて嬉しかったんだ。言わせるな、このバカが。
She had gone all dare, straight back to Soon mode all on her own. Wait, go back a little? This was all way too sudden. Way behind schedule, Remy let out a crying surprise. Kazupi, while we were still processing, had her eyes open wide.
なんだそれ。異論があるのか。張りまくりだよ。そんなとにかくダメだって。
Kazupi's gonna... her head's gonna fucking explode. Remy and Kazupi were utterly baffled, but the most bewildering one of all was me. I would have never expected something so insane. Without any idea of how in the hell I was supposed to react, I gazed up at the clear sky sitting outside the window. Somehow, even though the semester had only just started, it was already quite the eventful day. I wonder, will every day be like this from now on? Will these fun, peaceful times go on forever? No. I sure hope so. I wished for a minute from the bottom of my heart. So anyway, I saw the reflection of my face in the window. And the reflection I saw wasn't me because it was covered in wrinkles. Oh. Oh, what the fuck? Color and light disappeared. I was hugging my knees close to me in a space dyed pitch black. In front of my eyes was the only light source around. What the fuck? It was like a monitor. It was like a window. It was like a picture frame. Inside it, Remy, Sen, and Kazupi were chattering happily about something, but I couldn't hear their voices. I stared at it. My emotions were completely inactive, or maybe my heart was simply dead. I then realized I had been watching my own delusions. A 2D world where I had escaped into. A perfect illusion. How long had it all been a delusion?
最初からですよ。
Motherfucker. I looked behind me, where Naruse stood tall, but with how dark it was, I could only see his feet.
諏訪君に心を殺されたではありませんか。
So, ever since he'd done that, I'd been in a delusion the entire time.
君のコードサンプルは採取できました。もう用済みですから、いつでも塵に帰ってもらって結構です。
God. I felt nothing. My heart was dead after all, so I shouldn't have felt anything. And yet, a single tear trickled down my cheek. In the end, I'd gone right back to being a loser. I'd run away from the painful reality.
最後に幸せな夢を見られてよかったですね。
Even to the very end, I'd been a completely worthless human being. I'm sorry, Remy. I apologize, but I didn't really understand why I had to anymore. I didn't feel any guilt. And so, I decided to return to my delusion from earlier. Hopefully, someone would kill me one of these days. So until then, I wanted to fully immerse myself in the happiness that came from the world I escaped to. And of course, it's visualized by a fucking monitor. A fucking visual novel. Wow. When had the rain begun to fall? Or perhaps this rain had been brought into the world by Noah too. A gaze rained down from the sky. The stare pierced through the thick, pitch-black rain clouds and poured down on me like rain. It's too late for him now. I whispered in my heart to the owner of the gaze. I didn't feel the chill of the rain. Instead, the droplets on my cheeks felt warm to me. It was the first time I ever thought of rain as being warm. Perhaps it was the fault of the spine-chilling cold envelopping the dome where Noah 2 was. Reflected in my eyes was a ruined city. Reflected in my eyes was despair. Reflected in my eyes was death. Reflected in my eyes was nothingness. Not a soul was here. Not a soul was moving. Not a soul was left alive. The only thing I could hear was the sound of the rain continuing to pour. The ark had already been set into motion. We had been unable to stop it, and now the future held nothing but despair. At this rate, everything, both the living and the dead, would it all be gently embraced and washed away? I heard him whisper all of this inside his heart. His heart, it's so beautiful. I walked, to the figure lying limp in the rubble. It was my fault he had ended up like this. If I had done better, he wouldn't have gotten involved at all. Feelings of guilt tortured me. I blamed myself. Forgive me. I'll give you peace now. How he had been born was far too sad. How he was going to die was far too sad. Our heart so timid, so fragile. It was like it was made of glass. Glass so pure it had shattered its owner to pieces. At the very least, I didn't want him to suffer in the end. Lying on the ground, he looked up to me with vacant eyes. I pushed aside my emotions. Though I was looking at him, I tried to distance myself in an attempt to stave all of my tears. If you and I were the only ones left in the world, if we stared into each other's eyes like this for all eternity, would my world be reduced to what's reflected in your eyes? Would your world be reduced to what's reflected in my eyes? The only thing reflected in my eyes was him. The only thing reflected in his eyes was me. When I thought of it that way, the world immediately seemed so much smaller. I wasted the time you have left. I will become your world. Aww. Whether the world is painful, whether the world is agonizing, or whether the world is sorrowful, I'll make it so you no longer have to see it anymore.
ね
Gathering my resolve, I let out a whisper. Lowering my head, I spread my arms wide, almost as if I was preparing to take off, to soar above the rain clouds. As if I was trying to catch all the fallen rain.
あなたを見つめる妄想殺してあげる
Feathers of white danced about. They served as a gift handed down from the sky, a gift for his funeral. Interesting. Seeing this from Remy's perspective is so fucking interesting. I slowly knelt to the ground right before his collapsed body. I'll cry if I see your eyes. I'm sorry, I can't look at them. I softly embraced his head in my arms. His body was devoid of all strength, as if he was fully prepared for death.
辛いよねごめんごめんね今楽にしてあげるからね
His demeanor told me that I wasn't just doing this for my own sake. He has a very peaceful smile on his face. But that smile was so sad. Even though I held it in all this time, tears began to well up. I had held them back because I didn't ever want him to see those tears. He'd finally found peace. And I didn't want to worry him any further. I kissed him on the lips. They were cold, desiccated, and laden with seemingly endless sorrow. And yet when I kissed him, his trembling ceased. I was overjoyed to know that my warmth was of some use to him. If I drew back from his lips, he would see my teary face. If I drew back from his lips, I would want to kiss him again. If I drew back from his lips, I would be struck with such selfish feelings, I wouldn't be able to kill him anymore. My lips still enveloping his, I sank my disc sword into his chest. The sensation of it tearing through his skin, boring into his flesh, weaving through his bones, and slowly sinking through to the center of his body. It all passed through the sword and into my hands. I'm so sorry. You can sleep for as long as you want to now. Goodbye. Was the sky blurring because of the rain? Because of my tears? His body was enveloped by countless particles of light, and he slowly began to disappear in my arms, I reached my hand toward the sky. Somebody, please tell me, just where could that sky of ours have gone? Well, shit. Oh my god. What a fuck. That last section, even though everything was pretty much the same until that last section, what a hell of a last section. I'll tell you that right now. Like, oh my god. That last section fucked me up. It really did. Especially the perspective of the victims for the new gen cases. Oh, god. But fucking interesting that we see Rimi's perspective of her killing Takumi. That's so interesting. So this is the bad ending. Noah 2 still goes off, yet she still kills Takumi. So it's like, what if she doesn't kill Takumi in, like, the good ending? Well, I mean, it's the exact same setting, so, like, what is the good ending? What is the ending in which Takumi survives? He doesn't get killed by Rimi, is the biggest question. That is the biggest fucking question now. You know? Is there a way to do that? And how do these other routes with the other girls, like, how do those tie in? You know, how does that affect this? You know? Like, how does those affect this ending? Because we just ended up at the same exact conclusion. So I'm more interested in that, but yeah, really, besides that, Sua's fucked up. Sua's a fucked up character. He fucking it. He's a psychopathic son of a bitch. There ain't no fixing them. That's for damn sure. There ain't no fixing them at all. Fuck him. Fuck Sua, man. I wanted to like Sua too. Man, fuck him. Fuck him. Fuck him. Got him. But yeah, I'm curious as to how the other routes, like, how does it tie in, really? Like, what is the good ending? It probably is, like, the final route, isn't it, with Rimi? I think the last route in the guide is Rimi's, which would make sense. Or, well, there's something called ending double A. So I'm curious on what exactly that. I don't know. I haven't really looked much into the guide. I just, like, check of, like, okay, what's the next route I gotta do? And well, the next route we gotta do is Nami's route. So, hey, I'm curious to see how these routes are. Like, I'm actually very what tone is it gonna take? Actually, is it going to be like cutesy rom-com dating sim type vibes, or is it? Maybe it's going to be the same vibe as the rest of the game, aka like mixing of ecchi and horror, more than likely. So, well, it looks like the credits are gonna. Can I skip? Nope, I can't skip the credits. So we're gonna have to see this a lot of times, folks. We're really gonna have to. Good thing it isn't the longest one. But hey, the music's pretty good though. So I'll leave it at that. But I'm just curious as to see what the hell do the other routes contain? Like, what do they really contain? Like, I'm so curious about that. I'm so fucking curious about that. And how does it tie in with everything else? Because there we see the perspective of Rimi, which makes sense, but like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm actually very curious. Crying sky ending. Okay. Alright, well, I say we get started on that next route right now, aka Nanami's. So let's do that just right the fuck now. So chapter 1. Start at the beginning. What we gotta do is get to the Koa. Okay, well, Come on. There we go. Skip. Alright, let's get to that first illusion. Okay, yes. Why not? No. Fucking, this game surprises me. In the end, what really matters is the camel toe. Yes. You need to see the camel toe, bro. That's the best part. Slow down, man. Well, you like girls with glasses? That's your type? Yeah, fuck off, Grim. Nah, they just pair well with swimsuits. Usually we take the glasses off for swimming, right? But she doesn't. And that leaves all sorts of room for my delusions to work. Well, you Beetle's definitely a full floater today, but that what makes you you, Nightheart. Wait, go back. What do you mean that's what makes you you? I mean, yeah, I guess I went a little bit crazy there. But I'm still trying to maintain a cool image for myself here. You cool? Trying to fucking skip. What are you laughing at? You know what were we talking about before I went to AFK? Okay, there we go. What were we talking about? Okay, here we go. Here we go. Cola.
コーラしかないじゃん。ミルクティーとか用意しといてよ。
Okay, so cola. Coca-Cola, espuma. Nothing but cola. Positive. Alright. Positive. Alright, let's go. Okay, we've seen this before. How was the first illusion? I'm into older sisters, not younger ones. Oh God, you shall guide me. Fucking stop going down to the bottom of this page. No. Okay, so there's a very specific order you have to do this in. So we go. I'm into older sisters, not younger ones. No. Oh God. I like girls with flat chest. Yes. There are 3D girls I like besides Nanami. No. Oh my God. I admit it, Nanami is cute. No, yes, no, yes, yes. Wait, I want to kiss Nanami-tan. Wait, huh? Wait, did I fuck that up? Wait. No. Wait. It was, no, yes, no, yes, yes. No, I didn't fuck it up. I want to yeah, yes. Alright, here we go. Brother, you jerk. Discovered Nanami's story. Oh boy, here we go. Here we go. Oh boy, fellas. Hey, I'm just following the guide, alright? Alright. God damn it, Takumi. Alright, since Nanami seemed to, want it so much, I kiss her. I mean, I was a man after all, and while Nanami wasn't that sexy, I wanted to kiss a real girl for once. Even if it was my little sister. Oh boy. Okay. Alright, here we go. Oh, how's this going to play out? Jesus Christ. I'd zone out and let my delusions run wild again. Never felt so disgusted with myself in my life. Like, oh my God, barf. Just totally barf. And then I started thinking, maybe if we weren't blood-related and she fell a little more into the cute little sister archetype, I wouldn't be such a virgin loser.
どうしたの?
After finishing her cola, Nanami shot me a confused look. I've been acting weird because of my delusion just now, and Nanami had noticed. Snap out of it, took a deep breath, and forced the disgusting thoughts out of my mind.
もう帰れよ。
This is all the same. It is. So what the fuck did that change? Oh god. Great. Okay. Alright. So what? This is so weird. And you still have the other things as well. I really thought it was going to be a situation where like you do the thing, then it opens up a brand new route. But I guess it's not it isn't that. It's more like you discover, you activate the thing, and then I guess at some point in the story, it actually activates. Which, interesting way to do it, but, we get fucking confused with this shit, right? Okay, I should be like, I should be fine, right? Okay. Okay, I see. As you progress, an Anami will awaited intermission will appear during the story. The skip mode will disengage during these scenes. Be sure to read them for additional context. The game will branch into the route in Chapter 6. Oh boy, here we fucking go. In Chapter 6. Fine. Alright, let me... Fucking... yeah. God, I really do have to write down, like, which delusions. I guess it's easier to see all of the delusions than if you have to go through the entire game again, But I have to be careful of, like accidentally going to the other, like, routes, Like, wait, what actually does happen if you, like, try to go into the other routes of the other girls? Does it, like, not appear or something? Like, how's that work? Ah, fucking whatever. Fucking red. Okay, yeah, I did that. Oh, I should probably choose the new. Oh, whatever. I kind of just want to get to the fucking actual point of the fucking thing, which is in chapter fucking 6. Oh boy. Thank God for this skip button, huh, fellas? Thank God for it. God damn. I can see why Steins Gate is a lot more friendly to people, honestly. Because, like, it isn't just the contents of the story. It's, like, kind of how the game is kind of structured. Because it's very structured weird way. There is a skip button, yes. If the skip button wasn't here, I don't think this game would be fucking playable, right? Because imagine, like, trying to click through every single fucking route. Just like, oh, I gotta click the mouse again and again and again and again and over and over and over and over and over again. Oh shit, there's new content though. You gotta stop, press on the fucking brakes, brother. But I can definitely see why Saints Gate is much, because it's a lot more linear game. It really is. While this is more like, get ready to see the same shit if like 20, 40 fucking times. Hey, that's just how the game is structured. Oh wait, it was in room 36. Oh yeah, I never chose the bad one. Whenever I went to Ad Cafe, I always used room 37. Meanwhile, in room 36, the room next door was always empty. But last week, the day I first met Eula, I've been shocked to find that someone was actually using it, and they were working at sites dedicated to new-gen, no less. Then I come across Eula inside Ad Cafe, started panicking, then instantly made a run for it. No way. You can't be serious. Was it really her? Back then in that room? Oh, it's a Eula who was still sitting on the bench. Her eyes stared at me from behind her glasses, and her gaze collided with mine. It was the first time we probably made eye contact since we met. There was still a smile on her face for a brief moment, but it quickly changed into a puzzled look. What sort of expression was I making? I couldn't tell. I turned my gaze toward her bag, toward the toy straps attached to it once again. I felt the air change as she gasped in response.
西条くん
A golden leaf fell off a branch swaying in the wind, and ever so gently, danced through the air. All sorts of thoughts flashed through my mind. I didn't really understand why, but Griggle Froggies were popular, so having a few of them dangling from your bag wasn't anything unusual. But on that day, you had probably been there in room 36, and all this time she never mentioned it even once. And to make matters worse, she'd been researching New Gen. Ooh. I'd almost forgotten about those horrible murders, but I remembered I'd been a witness in one of them. That gruesome spectacle revived itself again in my mind, and then I saw a flash of the culprit's face.
これですか？ゲロカエルンって言うんです。何人かの友達にもらっちゃって、気がついたら密になってまして。
It's a fucking tie-up! Yua's smile had gone slightly stiffer. She reached out for her bag, trying to take the Grey Froggy straps off of it.
最近女子高生に大人気なんですよ。私はあんまり可愛いとは思わないんですけど。
Yua's hands are trembling. She frantically tried to pull them off the bag, but they just wouldn't budge.
変だな。どうして外れないんでしょう。ちょっと待ってくださいね。西条くんにも見せてあげ。
Oh boy. Yua pulled on the straps a bit too hard, causing the bag to fall off the bench. The back was unzipped, so all of her notebooks and textbooks spilled out onto the ground. Also, now that I'm thinking about it, how much dialogue does this game fucking have? Because we have to keep this in mind. Each delusional scene has three choices: neutral, good, and bad. And depending on like the scene, some of it is like really like not that huge, but some of it is like entire different fucking scenes. So like how like what is the word count for this game? Because I feel like it's pretty fucking big with the amount of like just different slight altercations to the dialogue scenes with just a variety of delusional scenes. I mean, there's like there's at least like 20 of like I say like 25, I think, delusional scenes, right? AKA, that's like 3 choices per delusional scene. So that's like, what? Over like 50, 60? Like maybe even 100 different scenes? Like, I'm actually very curious what the word count on this game is, because I feel like it's pretty fucking high. The bag was unzipped, so all of her notebooks and textbooks spilled out onto the ground. Okay, there we go. Chapter 2. I really gotta cut this shit out. Let's go with good. Oh yeah, I never did do good for this scene, did I? It didn't take long for me to be called into the examination room. I expected to be waiting there for quite a while, but I guess I was wrong. Why had there been so many people in the lobby then? Maybe they were being paid to sit there just to make it look busy. It was a different examination room than the one from 4 years ago, but when I stepped inside, I was welcomed to a face I remember dearly.
Yeah, Nishijou-kun.
Dr. Takashina rose to his feet with a familiar smile and reached his hand out to me. Realizing he was searching for a handshake, I hurriedly recuperated.
また君に会えて嬉しいよ。いや、嬉しいというのは変かな。君にしてみれば、またここに来るというのは辛いことなわけだからね。
Despite it being 4 years since we last seen each other, he was incredibly friendly. My slight nervousness I'd been struggling with was eased in seconds.
それで、今日はどうしたんだい?
He gestured for me to sit down, so I did. Luckily, due to all the tension melting away, I told him everything about what had happened to me and what might happen to me in the future. I stumbled over my words many times, probably because I wasn't used to talking so much, but Dr. Takashina didn't rush me. He listened to me intently with a serious look on his face, while offering occasional interjections to make sure I knew he was following. of course, I also told him everything about Yua and the demon girl. I considered that doing so might be dangerous, but right now he was the only person I could rely on.
結論から先に言おうか。
You're fucking crazy. After hearing everything I had to say, Dr. Takashina pondered for a moment, then began to speak.
君は正常だよ。何の問題もない。
本当ですか？
もちろん。
Those were the words I wanted to hear more than anything. I dragged myself to the hospital for the sole purpose of hearing them. I was scared that he'd tell me there was something wrong with me, and I had no idea what I would have done if I had. But getting checked out by Dr. Takashina had been the right choice after all.
むしろおかしいのはその楠木さんという女性だね。
Man, she sure is a crazy bitch, huh, Takumi?
西条くんの話だけで判断するのは難しいが、おそらくその女性は精神的な障害を患っているだろう。今後君に危険を及ぼすような行動に出る可能性がある。すぐに警察に通報しよう。
The police? Sure, that was probably the safest option. He was right. There had to be something wrong with Yua. She was batshit insane. The thought of her stalking me again sent shivers down my spine.
もちろん僕も責任を持って君を保護するつもりだ。
Looking at me with a powerful, reassuring gaze, Dr. Takashina clapped his hand on my shoulder encouragingly. He even handed me his business card, complete with his phone number.
何か問題が起きたらいつでも連絡をくれて構わないよ。24時間いつでも君のところに飛んでいくからね。
いいんですか？
当たり前だよ。僕は君の主治医なんだから。
Takashina, I would trust you, but you're just like Tomike and Higurashi. You always die first. Man. I was on the verge of tears. I was truly grateful to be under his care. From the bottom of my heart, doctors as good as him were hard to find nowadays.
悪魔女のことについても通報した方が良さそうだね。西条くん、君の見たその女がニュージェネの真犯人で間違いないよ。これはものすごい目撃証言だ。
Dr. Takashina seemed somewhat excited, but you can tell from his tone. As always, he spoke calmly.
事件は西条くんのおかげで解決だ。君は渋谷のヒーローだよ。僕はこの瞬間に立ち会えて実に光栄に思う。
I was a hero? This wasn't the ASO. There was no way someone like me could be a hero. No way in hell. But what I imagined in my face just about broke into a grin. Middle school girls, high school girls, college girls, MILFs, all of them would be screaming my name. How much they loved me. I'd be renowned all over the world as one of the most charismatic people to ever live. Being a TV celebrity sounded cool and all, but I didn't want to appear in front of people, so I created a startup company instead. Then I'd become a hugely charismatic boss, making the big bucks. I'd be surrounded by a harem of beautiful secretaries, serving my every need. And of course, I'd trip off their flex and make them go crazy over me. I'd have a high-rise apartment in Wapokani and hire a bunch of cute maids. It'd be like my own personal maid cafe. Of course, I'd be indulging in the endlessly passionate nightly services. Just kidding.
まさに勝ち組。
You did it, son. I'm proud of you. Yeah. I probably came to my senses, only to find myself sitting on a sofa in the lobby. Unable to grasp what exactly was going on, I frantically looked around the room. Beside me was a hunched-over old lady. Her eyes were covered in wrinkles, so I couldn't tell whether she was asleep or awake. I took a look at the clock above the reception desk, and I saw that I had been waiting in the lobby for a full hour. Had that all just been a dream? I hadn't slept last night, so I dozed off while waiting. How glorious it would be if that dream was actually real. Talk about disappointing. That'd be too easy, Takumi, come on now. In the end, I found myself waiting for another 2 hours before my name was finally called. Alright, now we can get to the... Oh, when I entered the examination room, it almost felt like the same events I'd seen in that dream were happening again. Dr. Takashina even appeared almost exactly like he had in the dream. It's probably just that he barely changed since the last time I saw him 4 years ago. But this time he didn't rise from his seat, nor did he offer to shake my hand.
今日はどうしました？
And unlike the dream, he didn't seem especially happy to see me again.
西条です。
ん？ああ、これはご丁寧に。
Plus, it isn't just the fact of the scenes themselves. They directly read into the next scene. Like, Takayumi, like, explicitly says, like, okay, this is not how he acted in the delusion I just had. So that's why I'm asking for what the hell is the full word count of this game? Like, it has to be gigantic, with just the amount of minor differences here and there.
高階です。はじめまして。
Actually, like, it is an achievement in and of itself. Like, commendable to the fucking scenario writer, right? Like, holy shit, the amount of, like, differences and such. And fucking, because the original game had 3 endings, right? It had probably the first one and the second one. I don't know about the third one. But then Noah comes in with 9 additional fucking routes. So it's like, fuck, man. That's like, oh, shit. Bad. I think I did bad last time, if I remember correctly. I didn't. Okay. Before I knew it, I was slowly walking on a rooftop, all alone. The wind was extremely strong, blowing raindrops into me from the side. What was strange, though, was that I didn't feel cold. I remembered this place. It felt like I had been there many times before. It was a Silent Hill. Oh, I knew where it was now. The dreary scenery surrounded by a fence. It was the school rooftop. I took a look around me, but the rain had made everything so hazy I couldn't make out anything. It was surreal. Felt like the world itself had become blurred. Whoa, that's a new fucking outfit. The hell? Beyond the haze, on the other side of the fence, was Fess. She was standing there facing me, and she was soaking wet. She was looking straight at me, just like at the concert. In her right arm, just like before, she was gripping that sword-like mic stand tightly. The wind blowing from below sent Fess's soaked hair fluttering furiously in the air. If she even slightly lost her balance, she would definitely fall, and at this sight, that would be a death sentence. Just looking at her made me stop dead in my tracks. And yet, despite where she was, Fess stood tall, without the slightest hint of fear in her eyes. On the verge of tears, Fess gently extended her left hand toward me. Let's jump off together. It was almost as if she was asking me to go with her, trying to seduce me. Damn. I couldn't give any response. I had no idea what to do. Fess said nothing back to me either. She just spread her arms out wide, taking on a pose as if she'd been crucified. Suddenly the rain and the wind stopped. I tried to say something, but I couldn't make a sound. Nothing would come out of my mouth. Fess's body slowly tilted backward, everything that seemed to be happening in slow motion. I tried to reach out toward Fess, but my own movements were in slow motion too, so I could only look on in frustration as my arms slowly extended out in front of me. Fess was already closing her eyes, and not long after her figure disappeared from my line of sight. Ooh. Premonition. The hell?
鬱だ。
I've been getting lost in my own delusions as usual, but it all gone south pretty quickly. Well, that just goes to show how strong the aura Fess gave off true it was. She sort of had this sense of ruinous beauty to her. That said, I didn't have the slightest fucking clue what ruinous beauty was supposed to mean, though. Okay, I guess. In the end, I got sick from the size of the crowd at that concert, so I had to rush to leave the venue. And as a result, I barely watched any of the performance at all, and also I never wanted to go ever again. Well then, guess I'll log on to ESO or something. I don't know, rid me of this depression. Okay. Fucking alright. This shit.
ねえナイトハルト
It's fucking bad.
お前はそれに気づいてるの
Yep. Drop Dead. Phone shopping. Then best CG in the game. Best CG in the game. Chicken sandwich. Alright. Sorry. Had to point that out. Oh, here we go. Now we got something. Nishijou Nanami had a spring in her step. Fiddling with her cell phone, she hummed to herself as she walked. Having finally managed to drag her shut-in older brother out of the house and into the world, she had taken him to buy a cell phone. Upon selecting one and attaching a Gregor Faraki strap to it, she had completed her mission. Now she was in a very good mood. It's been so long since I went somewhere, my big bro. Aw. It felt so refreshing to her. She was not entirely sure how many times they had gone out together in the past, and when she tried to recall, she found her memories far too hazy. As they were siblings, one would fake they would spend time together fairly often, but that was not the case for them. Well, nothing wrong with a little date with my brother every now and then, right? It's a good chance to work on that gloomy attitude of his, and hopefully get him to be a bit nicer to us in the process. She continued to sort out her thoughts, and while waiting for the light to change at the scrambled crossing, she took the opportunity to type out an email to her brother. Then, the walk signal flickered on, and the swarm of the pedestrians began moving once more. Nanami kept her eyes glued to the screen, letting the flow of the crowd carry her along. As one would expect, the flood of people in front of Shibuya Station made writing an email while walking nearly impossible. Jesus Christ, yeah. Distracted, Nanami slammed into her shoulder of a passing middle-aged businessman, nearly knocking him over. She bowed her head at the man, received a sharp glare in return, then slipped the phone back in her bag. She figured she would probably stop typing for now. She would have plenty of time on the train to do so. Not a moment later, she noticed a familiar face among the human stampede passing through the ticket gate. What the?
Oi! Rimi-san!
Oh. This is earlier. Sekahata Rimi was startled to see the girl who had called her name. She averted her eyes, her demeanor nowhere near as friendly as Nanami's. Paying no mind to this, Nanami closed the distance between them.
Rimi-san! 久しぶりだね。久しぶり。
She seemed strangely distant. Trying to figure out why that might be, Nanami guessed that Rimi might have been waiting on a date. She could say for sure it was not with her brother, though, given how he had left for his home just moments before.
あれからお兄とはどうです？
Given that her brother would rather wallow in his own filth than step out into society, it was easy to imagine he and Rimi did not talk very often. As she thought to herself, Nanami tilted her head. She felt a strange unease regarding the gaps in her memories. Yeah.
あれからっていつからだっけ？
Rimi didn't say a word. She simply gazed up awkwardly at the Jumbotron displaying Omura Carrera's newest music video. Nanami continued to dig through her memories, to find anything on Rimi, to find anything on her brother's relationship with Rimi. She should have known something. It seemed impossible for her not to, yet her search returned fruitless. When she saw Remi's face, her name came to mind, and she even called it out. However, no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't find a single memory of the girl. Yeah.
そもそもナナってリミさんといつ知り合ったんだっけ？なんで名前知ってるんだろう？
Despite her best efforts, it was as if the memory completely slipped from her grasp. It was not even just on the tip of her tongue. No, everything was a total blank. She was awash with an awful sensation. For some reason unfamiliar to her, her chest began to tighten.
ちゃん忘れるなんて。
As if a switch had been flipped somewhere, the air of apprehensiveness completely vanished as Remy turned to Nanami, smiling warmly.
私とナナちゃんが知り合ったのはタクを通してでしょ。ほら学校でタクと一緒にいた私を見てナナちゃんが目を丸くしてさ、うわーお兄に彼女ができた、明日地球が滅びちゃうって。
Ah.
えあはは言ったっけそんなこと。うん言った。あんまりびっくりしてたから私すごくよく覚えてる。
Now that she mentions it, Nanami thought, maybe I really did say that. Still, a part of her insisted that it wasn't true. Not entirely convinced, but not really caring too much at the same time, she decided to forget about it for now.
それでお兄とは最近会ってます？会ってるよ。だってクラスメートだし。でもあんまり学校行ってないんですよね。お兄のお尻蹴っ飛ばしてあげてください。いっつも引きこもってるんだもん。ナナの言うことはちっとも聞いてくれないし。了解。それじゃあナナ帰りますね。遅くなるとお母さんに怒られちゃう。うんまたね。
Nanami waved goodbye to Remy as she made her way toward the station. She still could not pin down a single memory of that girl, and she also found it strange that, despite the time of day, the girl had been wearing something casual instead of her uniform. Even so, there was much more pressing matter in her mind. Are Remy and Takumi actually in a relationship? Yeah, no freaking way. Nanami cracked a wise smile at the very idea. Like she had once said herself, that would be the end of the world. Interesting. Nanami's seen Remy before. Interesting. Ooh, okay. Okay. I see what they're doing with this. I see what they're going for. Oh. This is fucking new. But, okay, I see what they're going for. It isn't, like, an entirely new route. It's like, you do these subtle changes here and there, and it just changes the story slightly. Like, I feel like what this is supposed to imply is that a majority of the events that happen in the story is canonical to, like, every other ending. You know, it's supposed to suggest, like, it's not a completely different route. It's not like a 100 line or a Zero Escape, for example, where like oh, you make this one choice, this character dies, and then oh, it goes into a different other direction, right? It's more like just slight. It's like a butterfly effect, I guess is the best word to say. Of just slight differences, just slight different delusions Takumi has that leads to the bad ending, where Suwa is at the station just a bit earlier than Senna or Kazupi, right? Or this, where just because Nanami bumped into this middle-aged guy, she sees Remy for the first time, and which starts making her think of, like, why do I know this girl? You know, like, how do I know this girl and stuff like that. So it's very... I kind of like it. I like it. It's a very... I feel like it could be implemented just a little bit better, but I like what they're going for here. You know, I feel like it's a very unique way to tell a multi-route story. Basically using the, like, first route as a basis, pretty much. You know? So, it's very interesting. It's very unique. I'll give it that. It's very unique. Remembering Yua's words, I cautiously glanced over the neighboring room 36. I made sure no one was there when I entered the cafe, and since I wasn't hearing any noise, it was probably still unoccupied. Didn't stop me from being anxious about the possibility, though. See, this is what I'm fucking talking about, the delusions. Like, even with just, like, this, like, fucking delusion of Takumi thinking room 36, it applies to this scene that's, like, an entire chapter later. Like, fucking shit, man. I got up and slowly peered over the divider, and I saw that room 36 was still empty. Relieved, I sank back into my recliner. Okay. Interesting. Slight differences. Not the biggest differences, but slight differences anyway, you know. Alright, do I want to go for the foot job delusion or what? Yeah, let's go for the foot job delusion. I see. Okay, you can have that scene real fast. Alright. Okay, well, I've hit the fucking 2-hour mark by this point. So I'm gonna stop here. I'm going to stop here. Still a long ways away from chapter 6, where we actually get into the meat of the route, but we'll probably get into new scenes here and there with different choices and delusions. So I hope you guys are ready for that. But yeah, I'm just curious as to see what the hell this route has in store for us with Nami. I actually really am curious what the hell it could be about. But anyway, if you guys have enjoyed this episode, hit that subscribe button. If you liked it, hit the like button. Tell us something, put it down in the comments below. Check out Discord server everyone in, my Twitter, check description below. And yeah, it's been Voidlego. I'll see you guys next time. See ya!